I became an entrepreneur in high school. No, not like a massive corporation entity. Instead, I started my own small business selling acrylic charms, enamel pins, and other things. And if you've been considering starting your own online business, take this video as your sign to do so. You might be wondering, how does one even get started on such an endeavor? Well, I'm glad you asked, because the answer is delusion. I actually first drew my inspiration from an artist on Instagram by the name of Otaku Pup. They drew Identity 5 stuff, and I thought it'd be pretty crazy if I was able to do the same. And so here we are. Delusional as ever, I did exactly what I said I would. To be fair though, I had been thinking about starting one for a while, but I just never had the courage because I thought no one would want to pay money for my art. But despite that, the overachiever in me finally decided to take the first steps towards starting my own business. So if you want to start your own business, but you're facing that very hurdle, don't let it get you down because you are your harshest critic. Trust in yourself and you'll get by just fine as long as you have a real passion for it and a lot of extra time to draw. But first, research. I did a ton of research and it can honestly be super overwhelming, from which sites to sell on, shipping, international taxes, but just slow down and try not to get too overwhelmed. There's a ton of ways to start a business, but the method I leaned towards was Kickstarter. Essentially, Kickstarter is a crowdfunding website where small creators can pitch an idea or product to the masses, and if they enjoy it, then they could pledge for it, thus helping the creator to fund their project. It's almost like pre-ordering a product, but here's the catch. The product must reach its initial goal or else the entire campaign is done for. So it's an all or nothing once you launch your campaign. So after all of that, I finally needed to decide on what I should draw for my first Kickstarter. Let me think. What fandoms am I in? I mean, I like Danganronpa. No, too niche. What about League of Legends? I'm trying to escape from my addiction, not feed into it. Okay, what about Genshin Impact? You know, that's not a bad idea. So now that I've decided what fandom I wanted to create designs for, now's the time to actually decide what items specifically. I just love the way that enamel pins look. Everything just looks so clean, from the shine of the metal to the vibrancy of the Pantone colors. I knew that this would be the overall selling point of my art business, but I thought for my first Kickstarter, this might be too large of an endeavor. So I had to put aside my yearn to create enamel pins and opt for something else. As for stickers, I knew I didn't want to create a sticker shop, primarily because I don't really use stickers all that much. So I felt that I should not be selling something that I wouldn't use myself. On the contrary, I thought stickers could make for a great freebie for the Kickstarter, so I put that idea in my back pocket. Lastly, acrylic charms. I mean, it is something I would use. And I do like that you can display it on backpacks, keys, and phones. Plus the manufacturing process for acrylic charms is pretty hassle-free. Sold. Now that I'm 100% locked in on my products being Genshin-related acrylic charms, I could finally start designing. I don't intend for this Kickstarter to be a particularly large one, considering I'm just starting out and barely have a fan base built. So I will design just a few characters, the designs themselves being both the Travelers and the 3 Archons out at the time, which is Venti, Zhongli, and the Raiden Shogun. Beyond the character designs, I also had to create just general visuals. For reference, this one is made by Bakwo, or I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it has so many visuals that aid the eyes of the viewer, which is a great point of reference to look at. So for my Kickstarter, I knew I had to make a bunch of visuals, and here they are. For these little Genshin emotes, I drew a lot of inspiration from the actual emotes in game. So if you are at a loss for designs for these types of graphics, you can definitely look at the symbols in your particular medium. And as a little bonus, I designed stickers of Yaemiko for those who pledge. And after all of that, I launched the Kickstarter, giving it 30 or so days to run. To be honest, the whole entire 30 days was so nerve-wracking because I was able to watch the charts go up and down as the pledgers pledged and rescinded their pledges. All in the while, I had to market the designs through Instagram, TikTok, and even Reddit. My biggest tip during the segment of waiting is to market your designs like your life depends on it. On a side note, I really dislike marketing. It feels like I'm pleading for people to buy things like a shopping mall advertiser with a booth. Hated it then, and I hate it now. But hey, after the 30 long days, it was finally the last day, and I watched as the countdown hit 0. The pressure had finally been lifted and I was finally able to celebrate with a sigh of relief. To be honest, the designing of everything from the actual designs to the visuals to the graphics, everything, it took such a long amount of time and I kind of shut myself off from everyone in my life so that I can create this project of mine. I highly do not recommend this because I did not have a social life and I did not go out of my house for the entire duration of my preparation. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself. Moving on, with the funds raised, I used book race to create my acrylic charms, which I'm sure you've heard of if you watched or follow any other small business. It's practically the godfather of manufacturing for small businesses, at least in the US. How it works is the higher the amount of products you want to purchase, the lower the cost will be. So it's better to buy in bulk. Also, the type of acrylic increases the price as well. So for example, a sparkly acrylic will cost more than a plain epoxy acrylic. Anyways, after a lot of back and forth, they finally shipped my products and here they are. But since then, I've created 3 more Kickstarters and I'm on to my 5th now. And I've successfully ran an online shop that's accumulated over 600 orders, which is an insane number I still can't believe to this day. So yes, that's how I started my online art business, and I promise you that you can do the same as long as your heart is filled with determination. To be honest, this video was just me talking about Kickstarter the entire time, but let me know if this video was helpful or entertaining. I can even go into the nitty-gritty of the logistics, what items to buy, pricing, and other things to start a business if I know it'll help some people out. And if you want to check out my small business, it's linked in the description. Thank you for sticking around, and I'll catch you next time.